The idea you offered me was to present you the gut microbiota as the gate to the organism, and to discuss this a bit related to nutrition. The gate. The gate, it's the entrance, and the entrance is sometimes hidden if you think of it. But the entrance of the organism is something which is always microbial, and that will be my first point. It's also a protection, and speaking of that, a gate is first of all a protection, and we tend to think that our body has limits, that we organize ourselves, and at which we are selecting ourselves what's coming in or not. And it's not very true. Let's go into something which is more behavioral, which is more integrating the status of the animal. There was this note that when you feed a mother during the pregnancy with a rich diet, so during the pregnancy and after the birth of the young mice, if you give a rich diet, rich in lipids and rich in proteins, versus a diet made of more fibers, you see that the offspring, it's a funny transgenerational effect. The offspring is much less interacting when the mother received a rich diet. So what your mother is eating makes you more or less prone to communicate with other mice. It's estimated by time of interaction with other individuals in the same cage. It turned out soon that one of the difference, but this is purely correlative, one of the difference between those offspring and those ones was that when there was a rich diet, the gut bacteria were significantly depleted, or even there was even no Lactobacillus reuteri. But this is pure correlation. But of course, because of this correlation, the scientists decided to take those offspring from a mother with a rich diet and force probiotically the reintroduction of Lactobacillus reuteri. And what did they find? They reverted the phenotype just by adding this bacteria. We have those from the lab. They are not axenic, okay? Those are the normal ones from the lab in a dirty cage. And when you compare them to the mice captured in different locations in the wild versus different labs in the US, you can see that the diversity, the microbial diversity, is not the same. And there is a group which are proteobacteria, which is quite abundant in the gut in the wild, which is nearly absent. It's nearly, but honestly on the diagram it's nearly fully absent from the lab. While firmicutes, once again, are invading those gut microbiota. So you see that domesticated individuals, they tend to have a different microbiota. Now, what is the consequence? In the same paper, which is an outstanding one in my view, they were investigating three types of mice. Those from the lab, simply, and germ-free mice on which they were transferring either the microbiota of lab mice or the microbiota of wild mice. So I call it a lab microbiota, but it's microbiota from a mice from the lab. Or wild microbiota is a microbiota from mice from the wild. And then they were challenging those animals with, if you read the paper, tons of things, okay? But I will only take one thing, influenza A virus, which is killing mice. And so you see that the survival is rather good for those who receive the wild microbiota and rather poor for those that are either grown in the lab or received, being germ-free, the lab microbiota. You go to 20% survival upon 10 days. But in the wild, it's not so much of a problem.